Welcome to an introduction on T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. The poet's modernist masterpiece, one of the finest reflections on mental illness ever written. The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot is a milestone in the history of English poetry. Obscurity and intellectual quality, the features of modernism, could be found in The Wasteland that made it highly complex. But novelty and contemporary relevance made it an immediate success. The use of modernist techniques of fragmentary narration, lack of continuity, disconnected episodes, mostly monologues, intertextual references, quotations from various works, all these things made it really different from any other work ever written. Eliot wrote about this long poem that he had had in mind for a long time, for the first time to John Quinn, the New York attorney and art collector, and then to his mother. He composed the poem partly at Margate, London, but mostly at Lausanne in Switzerland in 1921. In early January 1922, he submitted the manuscript to Ezra Pound at Paris. Pound brought about radical changes besides supplying the title. Eliot also effected a few alterations at the suggestion of Vivian, his first wife. Wasteland first published in the Criterion in October 1922 and in the Dial in November 1922. It was first published with Eliot's notes by Bonnie and Leverett. The manuscript of this poem passed into the hands of Quinn. Though for a long time it was supposed to be lost, it was rediscovered in 1968. A facsimile edited by Valère Eliot was published by Faber in 1971. The charge leveled against Pound for bringing about radical changes is quelled by this facsimile. Eliot's ill health and strain of his marriage to a mentally imbalanced person might have created a mental condition opposite to creative indulgence, which yielded this rich, complex, and rare poem. Eliot moved away from the tradition of long descriptive poems. He tried to make poetry as such more suggestive and complex through select images and their imaginative organization. In the modernist vein, Eliot employed resourcefully vegetation myths, folklore, which stress that the barrenness of the land is due to the impotence of its ruler. He makes good use of the spiritual belief that the land and the kind can be made fertile by a questing knight posing the right questions. In the notes, Eliot acknowledged two vital sources. Not only the title, but the plan and a good deal of the incidental symbolism of the poem were suggested by Miss Jessie Elweston's book on the general legend, From Ritual to Romance. Eliot says, to another work of anthropology I am indebted in general, one which has influenced our generation profoundly. I mean the Golden Bough. Jessie Elweston, in her book From Ritual to Romance, advances the thesis that all medieval romances are based on vegetation cults. The Grail, the holy vessel used during the Last Supper, and the lance that was used to pierce the side of Jesus Christ after his crucifixion are equated by Weston with female and male fertility symbols. In her version, the Fisher King was the ruler of a cursed land by an evil spell. It made him too impotent. The solution for the problem could be found by a virtuous and bold quester a night by raising a series of ritual questions and getting the answers. Besides its direct bearing on this poem, Eliot also might have used it profitably to draw a close parallel between the blighted land in Western and a modern wasteland bereft of spiritual values. The poet also takes the cue for a possible redemption from Western and applies it imaginatively to the contemporary situation. Apart from the works by Fraser and Weston, Eliot made use of other sources like the Bible, the Upanishads, Buddha's Fair Sermon, Geoffrey Chaucer, William Shakespeare, Edmund Spenser, Aldous Huxley, Andrew Marvell, Walt Whitman, Baudelaire, Ovid, and Homer. The epigraph, the words are taken from the Satyricon of the Roman writer Petronius Arbiter of the 1st century AD. The translation is this: For once, I myself saw with my own eyes the Sibyl at Cumae hanging in a cage, and when the boys said to her, Sibyl, what do you want? She replied, I want to die. Sibyls are prophetic old women of Greek mythology. In the wasteland, prophecy becomes mere fortune telling. We have Madame Sosostris. The Cuban Sibyl led Aeneas through Hades in Virgil's Aeneid. As a boon, Apollo granted the Cuban Sibyl perpetual life, but without youth. She inevitably withered into old age. Probably her every wish, paradoxically, was to die. Eliot finds a provocative symbol in her in relation to modern life where everybody desperately craves for death. Il miglior fabbro means the greater craftsman. The wasteland is dedicated to Ezra Pound, who influenced and guided Eliot in his poetic ventures. The wasteland was thoroughly revised and reduced in length by Pound, the greater craftsman. Il miglior fabbro are the words originally used by Dante to hail the troubadour Arnaud Daniel in Purgatory. Eliot says, the phrase, not only used by Dante, but as quoted by myself, had a precise meaning. I did not mean to imply that Pound was only that, but I wished at that moment to honor the technical mastery and critical ability manifest in his own work, which had also done so much to turn the wasteland from a jumble of good and bad passages into a poem. At first, the wasteland was published without a dedication. While presenting a copy of the poem to Ezra Pound, Eliot added this. However, Eliot included the dedication when the wasteland was reprinted in poems. Like Sibyl of Cumae, men and women living in the modern wasteland fear life and are possessed by the wish to die. This pessimism is reflected throughout the poem. That's all for now. Thank you.